नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. I thank all the Hyderabad devotees for having me once again in their divine association. So we all gathered together to hear and discuss Krishna Katha. It's our great fortune to have this opportunity. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Parasparanukathanam pavanam bhagavad yashah mithoratir mithastushtir nivrittir mitha atmanah. Paraspara anukathanam pavanam bhagavad yashah means devotees gather together to do anukathan, to discuss about the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and they purify the hearts of those practicing devotees nicely. Pavanam Bhagavad Yashaha, because we discuss the glories of Krishna, they purify us. Pavanam. So Mitho Ratihi, mutually by such discussions about Krishna, mutually we will increase our attraction towards Krishna. So mitho ratihi, mithaha tushtir means our satisfaction also will increase. Nivrittir mitha atmanaha. So together, collectively, we can completely transcend this material existence. That's the glory of coming together like this and discussing Krishna Katha. So this whole process of Shravanam and Kirtanam centered on Krishna's glories is glorified in various scriptures in various ways. Now there is a beautiful shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam that says that this Krishna Katha discussions are like Aushadham, means they are medicine. Nivrittatarshayr upagiyamanaah bhavaushadhat shrotramanobhiramat ka uttama shloka gunanuvadat puman virajyeta vinapashughnat. Nivrittatarshayr upagiyamanaah means people who are devoid of any sense gratificatory hankerings in this material world. So such people, upagiyamanaha, they can glorify the pastimes of the Lord. Upagiyamanaha. Bhavaushadhat shrotra bhiramat. So those Krishna conscious discussions done by devotees are like bhava aushadha, means they are like aushadha, means medicine for our material disease. To be in this material world is to be in a diseased condition. And bhavaushadhat shrotra bhiramat. So to come out of the diseased condition, we need to take medicine. When we get a disease, we take medicine, right? Similarly, when we are affected by material consciousness in this material world, then we have to take the medicine of Krishna Katha, Bhavaushadha. And Shrotra, Mano, Abhiramat. So now generally, if you take medicine, the medicine may be a little bitter. It may be a little austere to take. But this medicine of Krishna Katha is not bitter, it's so sweet. It's like Amrita, nectar. So it's not bitter, it is like nectar. So Shrotra Mano Abhiramat. These discussions about Srimad Bhagavatam are very pleasing to the ears. Shrotra Mano, they are very pleasing to the heart and mind also. So if unless a person is a butcher or very selfish, materialistic, demoniac person, he would not deny an opportunity to hear Krishna Katha when it comes of his own accord. Not only Srimad Bhagavatam glorifies Krishna Katha, Bhagavad Gita also glorifies Krishna Katha. Then Mukundamala Stotra also glorifies Krishna Katha. Mukundamala Stotra also says one beautiful shloka that also has the word Aushadham. Vyamoha prashamaushadham mudimano vritti pravrityaushadham दैत्येन्द्रार्तिकरौषधं त्रिभुवने सञ्जीवनैकौषधं भक्तात्यन्तहितौषधं भवभय प्रध्वंसनैकौषधं श्रेयः प्राप्तिकरौषधं पिबवन श्रीकृष्ण दिव्यौषधं. So Vyamoha Prashamaushadham. This Krishna Katha is that kind of medicine. So in this shloka, the word Aushadha comes 8 times, and the Aushadha which is being described in this shloka is Krishna's clearance. Vyamoha Prashamaushadham means the Aushadha, the medicine of Krishna Katha, can completely dispel our illusions. Vyamoha Prashamaushadham. Next. Muni Mano Vritti Pravrityaushadham. Muni means thoughtful people, very intelligent personalities. Muni Mano, Manovritti means their mental activities. Muni Manovritti Pravrityaushadham. So when you take the medicine of Krishna Katha from a bona fide source, either by reading the bona fide book or hearing from a bona fide devotee in the parampara, what will happen? Manovritti Pravrityaushadham. Automatically our mental activities will be streamlined towards the practice of the process of Krishna Katha, practice of the process of Bhakti Yoga. So for us to develop an inspiration to practice Bhakti, we need to hear Krishna Katha. Munimano Vritti Pravrityaushadham Daityendrartikaraushadham Tribhuvane Sanjeevanaikaushadham. Daitya Indra Artikaraushadham means Daitya means demons. Daityendra means kings of demons. So Artikara means to cause distress to those demons. So when we take the medicine of Krishna Katha, then it will cause distress to the demons which are there within us. What are they? Lust, envy, pride, greed, anger, etc. They are the uncontrolled senses. They are different anarthas. They are the mental concoctions. They are demoniac conceptions. They are atheistic worldviews. They are materialistic, selfish mentalities. So basically, this the Aushadha or the medicine of Krishna Katha will inspire us to practice Bhakti Yoga nicely, and it will also purify our hearts. Okay, so Daityendrartikaraushadham Tribhuvane Sanjeevanaikaushadham. In all the three worlds, this Aushadha of Krishna Katha is like Sanjeevani. You know Sanjeevani? Sanjeevani is that mantra or that herb that can cure diseases of people and especially revive them even if they fall unconscious. Lakshman fell unconscious on the battle while fighting with Ravana. Then Hanumanji got Sanjeevani and revived Lakshman. And later we have this example of Bali Maharaj. He fell down in the battle with demigods. Then Sukracharya used this Sanjeevani mantra and revived Bali Maharaj. So in this way, Sanjeevani means it revives us. So similarly, Krishna Katha or the discussions of Bhagavatam, they revive us. They basically, till we come to spiritual consciousness, we are in material consciousness and we are actually not acting according to the true true engagement of all ourselves, right? So in our original constitutional position, we are supposed to be engaged in Krishna's service, but because of this material body and material senses and material distractions and thoughts, we are unable to engage ourselves completely in Krishna's seva. So by hearing Krishna Katha, we develop an inspiration to engage in Krishna's service. That means our senses are being enlivened. To enliven our senses, we need to hear Krishna Katha. Right? Sanjeevanaika Aushadham. So the Krishna Katha is that Aushadha, that medicine that can completely enlighten us and awaken our senses to the right engagement. Sanjeevanaika Aushadham. Next, Bhaktatyanta Hitaushadham Bhavabhaya Pradhamsanaika Aushadham. Bhakta Atyanta Hita Aushadham means this Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna Katha can cause the greatest benefit to all the devotees. Bhava Bhaya Pradhamsanaika Aushadham. And this Krishna Katha can completely vanquish the fears of material existence also. Right? Pradhamsanaika Aushadham. Shreyaha Praptika Raushadham. Pibamana Sri Krishna Divyaushadham. So Shreyaha Praptikara. By taking shelter of this Krishna Katha, this Aushadha of Krishna Katha, then we will definitely be enlivened. We will be happy. Pibamanaha, drink this nectar of Krishna Katha. Oh mind, oh rascal mind, which is so distracted because of sense gratificatory desires. Focus on this medicine of Krishna Katha. Sanjeevanaika Aushadham. Pibamana. right? Sri Krishna Divyaushadam. So that's the effect of discussing about Krishna based on Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures. So now Bhadra Purnima is coming up. So we will specifically focus on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is that Krishna Katha done by various devotees. Specifically, Vyasadeva has written this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is filled with glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and Sukadeva Goswami has spoken it, and Suta Goswami has repeated what Sukadeva Goswami has spoken. So Vyasadeva wrote it, and Sukadeva Goswami heard it and then repeated it, and Suta Goswami heard from Sukadeva Goswami, and then he repeated it. So like that, Srimad Bhagavatam is a very wonderful explanation or description of Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela coming from the heartfelt realizations of great souls like Vyasadeva, Sukadeva Goswami. Sukamukhad amritadrava samyutam. Krishna Katha is already sweet. And when Sukadeva Goswami spoke that Krishna Katha, it has become all the more sweet. It has become much sweeter. So when a devotee loves Krishna, and such a devotee who loves Krishna describes Krishna Katha, then Krishna Katha appears much more sweeter, just like a mango fruit, right? When it is bitten by one parrot, the flavor of that mango fruit will increase, right? Similarly, Krishna Katha is already sweet, but because Sukadeva Goswami has spoken that Krishna Katha, so it has become even more sweet. So, निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखादमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. So, one should drink the nectar of Krishna Katha as coming from the lips of Sukadeva Goswami. So, with this little prelude, I will just discuss a few glories of Srimad Bhagavatam in the next 1 hour. So I'll share my screen so that you can see a PowerPoint. Yes. Now, the Supreme Lord Krishna has made his appearance about 5,000 years ago, and he has performed such enchanting and enthralling pastimes, and he gave such enlightening teachings in the form of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to all of us. And then in a very enigmatic way, in a very mystical and mysterious way, Krishna made his disappearance Leela. And after Krishna disappeared from this planet, he went back to his abode. He again appeared on this earthly planet in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishne swadhamopagate dharma gnanadibhis saha kalau nashtadrisham esha puranarko dhunodhitah. Means when Krishna went back to his abode accompanied by dharma and gnana, again he has come back to this material world in the form of this beautiful Bhagavatam, which is puranarko. It is like the sun. Why it is called sun? Because it completely destroys the misconceptions of demons. So that's why it is called it is compared with the sun. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. When Krishna appears in the form of a fish, he is called Matsyavatar. When Krishna appears in the form of an animal, he is called Varahavatar. When Krishna appears as a bird, he is called Hamsavatar. When Krishna appears as a small Brahmana boy, he is Vamanavatar. When Krishna appears as a human being, he is called Krishna or Ram. When Krishna appears in the form of a book, he is called Grantha-avatar, Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, when Krishna appears in any of the other incarnations that we have shown just now, he performs the activities of those incarnations only. But Srimad Bhagavatam is such a special incarnation of Krishna, which is a combination of all other incarnations. So now, the descriptions of Krishna-avatar, Rama-avatar, Varaha-avatar, Narasimha-avatar, Matsya-avatar, Kurma-avatar, Vamana-avatar, all these avatars are there in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam avatar is a combination of all avatars of Krishna. Okay, why Krishna has to appear in this world? So we'll discuss little prelude. What is the significance of the appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam? In fact, any avatar of Krishna. Actually, Krishna descends to establish dharma and to kill miscreants and to protect devotees. So, Bhagavatam also being Grantha appears for the same purpose, right? Bhagavatam also protects devotees' consciousness. Bhagavatam also destroys demoniac conceptions. Bhagavatam also establishes dharma, which is the supreme dharma, paro dharma, which is bhakti yoga. So now that's the purpose of Bhagavatam's appearance. Now let's see a slight contrast between where we are living and where we are supposed to live. Now this world seems wonderful. You see this beautiful picture where so many sunflowers are there. It seems very nice. Blue sky, yellow flowers and green plants, and it seems it's so pleasurable and pleasant to the eyes to look at. And there are beautiful waterfalls and mountains and rivers flowing. Very nice birds, wonderful birds and other lakes. So the world appears quite beautiful, right? And there is success in this world, and there is wealth, money, family members, and we have happiness of taking care of children, and other family, very nice emotional bondings and friends, right? So where is this variety in this material world coming from? You can see this picture. So a cat is there and a dog is there and some girls and boys are jumping, dancing, doing many things. And you see the bottom part of the picture, there is water and there is a reflection of all these people in the water. Now the variegatedness of this material world is basically a reflection of the spiritual world. Now we have seen a lot of variety in the material world in these pictures. Now this material world in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, this material world is compared to a banyan tree which is upside down. Urdhvamulam adhashyakam ashwatham prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavid. So now you see in this picture here Radha Krishna are there and this is Goloka Vrindavan. Right? That is the spiritual world and this is material world which is a reflection of that spiritual realm. So now in the spiritual world also this beauty is there, this family members and then loving relationships, everything is there. Now in Goloka Vrindavan there are so many Vrajavasis. Aho bhagyam nanda gopa vrajaukasan yanmitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatanam. Aho bhagyam means what a great fortune, what a great fortune. Aho bhagyam nanda gopa vrajaukasan means in Vrindavan there are so many devotees of Krishna in different rasas. There are gopas in Sakya rasa. There is Nanda and Yashoda and other motherly gopas and gopis in Vatsalya rasa. There are Madhurya gopas and gopis like that. Vrajavasis have great love for Krishna. Right? Aho bhagyam. Brahma is personally saying that all these Vrajavasis are so fortunate. Nanda gopa vrajavasam. Why they are fortunate? Yan mitram paramanandam purnam brahma sanatanam. Means that Supreme Lord, Supreme Absolute Truth, Brahma Sanatana Brahma, he appears as the friend of all these Vrajavasis. What else could be a greater fortune than this? Aho bhagyam, aho bhagyam. Brahma is very emphatically saying this. Next, let's see about Vatsalya Rasa. So Vatsalya Rasa is experienced by Yashoda Mata to the maximum possible extent. त्रय्याचोपनिषद्भिश्च साङ्ख्ययोगैश्च सात्वतैः उपगीयमानमाहात्म्यं हरिं सामान्यतात्मजं. Trayyacha Upanishadbhischa. Trayyacha means three Vedas. There are so many other Upanishads. Sankhya Yogaischa Satvataihi. There are so many Satvata scriptures and that are describing Sankhya Yoga, means enumeration of material elements. Right? Upagiyamana Mahatmyam Harimsa Amanyat Atmajam. Although all these Vedic literatures and scriptures are glorifying Krishna to be the supreme absolute truth, still Mother Yashoda considers Krishna as her dear child. And she thinks that it is her responsibility to feed Krishna, otherwise Krishna will die out of hunger. She feels that it is my responsibility to discipline Krishna, otherwise he will become so naughty. He will not grow up as a good human being. That is her consciousness, right? Traya cha upanishadbhischa sankhyayogischa sattvataihi upagiyamana mahatmyam harim sa amanyata atmajam. Okay. So next, that is about Vatsalya Rasa. Now we will see the next slide, where we showed this Sakhya Rasa. Ittham satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena mayashritanam naradarakena shakam vijahruh krita punya punjah. Ittham satam brahma sukhanubhutya means all these spiritual seekers who are aspiring to merge in Brahman, they see Krishna as impersonal. Ittam satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena. And there are some servants of Krishna, they see Krishna as paradevata, means the supreme worshipable deity. Mayashritanam naradarakena means Mayashrita means people who have taken shelter of Maya, materialistic people. They see Krishna as ordinary boy, neighborhood boy. But these gopas who are playing with Krishna in Vrindavan while they're tending cows in the forest, they see Krishna as their dear friend. Why? Shakam vijahruh krita punya punjaha, because they have done heaps and heaps of pious activities by which they are able to see Krishna as their dear friend. So that's the glory of Sakhya Rasa. Now we have seen Vatsalya Rasa, we have seen Sakhya Rasa. Now we will see Madhurya Rasa. Yadohane vahanane mathanopalepa premkankhanarbhardito ksanamarjanado gayanti chainam anurakta dhiyo shrukanthyo Dhanyavrajastriya urukramachittayanah. Yadohane means while milking cows, vahanane while threshing grains, mathana while churning buttermilk, upalepa. Upalepa means when they are in Vrindavan, the gopis would just take a mixture of cow dung and clay and apply it on their walls, and they put rangolis there. Mathanopalepa. Premkankhana when they're swinging on swings. Arbharudita means when they're taking care of their crying babies. Ukshana when they're sprinkling water mixed with cow dung in their courtyards. Marjanadu when they are sweeping the floors of Vrindavan, their courtyards. What are they doing? All these are simple household activities done by the gopis of Vrindavan. So while doing all these activities, Gayanti chaina manurakta dhiyo shrukanthyo. While doing all these household activities, all the gopis are doing Gayana, means they are singing the glories of Krishna with faltering voices. Right? Dhanya Vrajastriya Urukramachittayanaha. Dhanya, all the Vrajavasis are, especially the gopis, are extremely fortunate. So this is what is happening in Goloka Vrindavan. I am just quoting some Bhagavata shlokas to describe the spiritual world, to describe Krishna Loka, in which devotees render service to Krishna in Madhurya Rasa, in Sakhya Rasa, in Vatsalya Rasa, and in many other rasas. Right? So if this is the situation of this Goloka Vrindavan, what is the situation of Vaikuntha? In Vaikuntha, the presiding personality is Lord Vishnu, and he is served by so many Vishnu Parshadas and thousands of Lakshmis. Sata Sambhrama Sevyamanam. Lakshmis, so many Lakshmis serve Vishnu. Let's see how they are serving. Yat Sankulam Haripadanati Matra Drishtair Vaidurya Marakata Hema Mayair Vimanaihi Yesham Brihatkatitata Hasmita Shobhimukhya Krishnatmanam Naraja Adadhurutsmayadyaih. Yat Sankulam Haripadanati Matra Drishtair means all these Vaikuntavasis, their whole focus and their consciousness is completely dedicated to Haripada, the lotus feet of Lord Hari. Haripadanati matra drishtair Vaidurya Marakata Hema Mayair Vimanaihi. They also travel in such beautiful airplanes which are golden airplanes, not aluminum or iron airplanes. They are golden airplanes, and they are bedecked with very precious gems, stones, right? Yesham Brahat Katitata Smita Shobhimukhya, and they are also accompanied by very beautiful consorts. And although they have their private airplanes, they have the beautiful ambience of Vaikuntha. The sense gratificatory desires do not enter their minds, although they are right with their consorts, right? Krishnatmanam na raja adadhurusmayadyer. Krishnatmanam, they are absorbed in Krishna. Na raja means passionate desires for sense gratification will not enter into their minds. Okay, so we need to understand that this is the consciousness of the spiritual world, whether it is Vaikuntha or Goloka. Okay, now in contrast to such a beautiful spiritually surcharged ambience of Vaikuntha and Goloka, we see this material creation. So the material creation, the material universes, millions of material universes come out of the bodily pores of Mahavishnu, right? And Mahavishnu enters into each and every universe as Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. So why, if there is a lot of purity in the spiritual world, there is a lot of happiness, spiritual happiness, and Krishna is receiving services from devotees who love him and serve him so beautifully, why that Lord has to descend into this material realm and create this material world? So why? What is the reason? I'll tell you one story. Now you see this picture, mother is cooking and children are eating. But sometimes when mother is cooking, children don't eat. They say that I also want to cook. Then mother will take the child inside the kitchen and then make the child as assistant. But still, the child is not satisfied. I want to cook on my own. Then what does mother do? Mother gives some toys, toy kitchen set, so that the child can imitate the mother and then do some imitation cooking. Think himself or herself to be great cook, making so many items. They are just simply imitating mother. They are not actually doing any cooking. But when the child is tired of playing, then the child has to come back to mother and ask for food. Right. So now, when the children are absorbed in playing without eating food, mother is sending the maid servant. You go. Mother is first giving good instructions. Please don't play like that. You're supposed to eat. You're getting hungry. It's already lunchtime. Please don't do all this. But still, the child is so adamant. I want to cook. I want to imitate you. Okay. So mother has to give toy kitchen set. Then mother may sometimes send a maid servant. You go and then call. They are playing since long time, but still the child will not return. Mother will personally go and call, but still the child will not return. Then mother will patiently wait for the child to come back. Right? So when the child voluntarily comes back and says, "Mother, please give me food," mother will ask, "You have cooked so much food. Why don't you eat it?" Then the child will say, "That's all playing. It doesn't satisfy my hunger. You have to feed me." So now, in this short story, we can understand a very deep principle. So this story is inspired by one statement made by Prabhupada in the 4th canto, 24th chapter. So basically, just as this child wants to imitate mother and does not want to eat the food cooked by mother, similarly, the conditioned soul maintains a mentality which is separate from the Lord. Krishna is the supreme Lord, supreme proprietor, owner, enjoyer, master, controller, right? And the living entity's duty is to render service to him. But the conditioned soul maintains an attitude of rebellion, and he does not want to serve Krishna. He just wants to imitate Krishna. Why Krishna has to be the enjoyer, master, controller, and proprietor? I also want to become controller, master, proprietor, and enjoyer. I don't want to accept Krishna like that. I want to become like Krishna. Just like the child wanted to become a cook like mother, the child wanted to imitate mother. Similarly, conditioned soul also wants to imitate Krishna. And just as the mother has given some toys to the child, similarly, Krishna creates this material world for the conditioned soul to enjoy by his playing. Just as the child gets frustrated in his or her attempts to cook and becomes hungry, similarly, the conditioned soul also gets frustrated in his or her attempts to pursue material enjoyment in this material world. because the material world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Just as the toy kitchen set cannot produce any edible food, similarly, this material world also cannot give us any substantial enjoyment, eternal enjoyment. So then, just as mother gives good instructions to the child not to do all these things, similarly, Krishna also gives good instructions to us in the form of scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and other Vedic scriptures. Just as the mother sends some maid servant to call the children back, similarly, Krishna also sends the acharyas to explain the scriptures. Just as mother personally comes to take the child back, similarly, Krishna personally comes as an incarnation to take all the conditioned souls back to the spiritual world. So, in these 5 ways, Krishna reclaims the conditioned souls, right? So now you see this. You're able to see the screen. So basically, why this world is created? The spiritual world is permanent, and in spiritual world, God is there with His loving associates, and the material world is temporary, which is like a prison cell to house all the conditioned souls. Now we have seen a lot of beauty in the material world in the initial slides. In contrast, the material world also has a lot of suffering. There is birth, death, old age, disease, accidents, coronavirus. There are so many things. So, Kshutra Tridhatu Bhirimam Muhuradhyamana, Kshutra Tridhatu Bhirimam Muhuradhyamana, Sitoshna Vata Varashairita Rascha, Kamagninachuta Rusha Chasudurbharena, Sampashyato Mana Urukramasidati me. Kshut means hunger, Trit means thirst, Tridhatur means Kaphavata Pitta. You go to any Ayurvedic doctor, he will touch your nadi. There is some imbalance or some dosha in your Kaphavata or Pitta, one of them, right? Never is the body is in a perfectly healthy condition. It's almost healthy sometimes, but it's always having some problem or the other. Kshutra Tridhatu Bhirimam Muhuradhyamana. Because of all these problems, the conditioned soul is suffering constantly. On top of it, Sita, Ushna, Vata, Varashair. Sita means cold, Ushna is heat, Vata is wind, Varsha is rain. Because of all these things, the conditioned soul is suffering. Kamagnina, Achyuta Rushacha Sudurbharena. Kamagni means one's lust or material desire will burn like fire. Achyuta Rusha, infallible anger. Sudurbharena, it's intolerable to bear this material world, bear this material suffering. So Brahmaji is saying like this. So basically, the world is designed to give us some difficulty, right? So just like the toy kitchen set is designed just to give some illusory satisfaction to the child, that child might think that I am a cook. Similarly, the material world also gives an illusory satisfaction to the conditioned soul, thinking that I am God, right? So point is, we need to take shelter of Krishna. Now, Krishna will not interfere with our free will because we have some independence. Krishna is supremely independent. We are minutely independent. So now it's up to us how do we use our independence. Krishna can just change our mind. Krishna can hypnotize us and make us surrender unto Him, make us love Him, make us serve Him. But Krishna does not want forced love. He patiently waits till we surrender. He compassionately creates this world repeatedly. He sends his representatives, the acharyas, and he sends the scriptures, like Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically, these scriptures show us the path back to Godhead. And it's our responsibility to study these scriptures to gain information about the spiritual world. Just now we have seen so many shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam that gave us information about the spiritual world, about Golaka Vrindavan, about different rasas, about Vaikuntha, and about this material world and the suffering in the material world. So when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we get a contrast between the material realm and spiritual realm, and we will develop detachment from this material realm and we will develop attachment to the spiritual realm. So basically, to understand our own constitutional position, to understand our own relationship with God, and to get an inspiration and information about the process of practicing devotional service so that we can reach that person, Krishna, in the spiritual world. So we need scriptures. Scriptures have all this information. So without scripture, especially without the greatest scripture like Srimad Bhagavatam, we won't be getting the right information about this material world and spiritual world and the contrast and our own constitutional position. Basically, Bhagavatam presents knowledge of Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana. Sambandha is our own relationship with Krishna. Abhidaya is the process that we need to follow to revive that relation. And Prayojana means to attain the ultimate result of loving God and attaining God's love. So now we will move ahead. So now, why Bhagavatam is written? After this long prelude, we can now appreciate this one beautiful shloka in the 7th chapter of the first canto. Anarthopashabam sakshat bhakti yogamadhokshaje lokasya janato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. Anartha upashamam sakshat. Anartha means unwanted things, miseries in this material world. Upashamam sakshat, to mitigate the miseries in this material world, we need to do what? Bhakti yogam adhokshaje. We have to perform bhakti unto the Supreme Lord adhokshaja. Then only our anarthas or unwanted misgivings are vanquished. Anartha upashamam sakshat bhakti yogam adhokshaje. But lokasya ajanato vidvams. But common people don't know that by practicing bhakti yoga, I can mitigate all my miseries. Foolish conditioned souls are not aware of this. That's why so Vyasadeva has written Srimad Bhagavatam, Chakre Satvata Samhitam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is written by Vyasadeva to describe Bhakti Yoga, which is the right means to mitigate all our material miseries and go back to the spiritual world. Right? So Bhagavatam gives us information about the spiritual realm, information about the material realm, and gives us the reason why we are rotting here instead of being there. So, and it also gives the information how can we go from here to there. That's why we have to study Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita also gives that information, but in a very concise form, in a very crisp form. And Bhagavad Gita is pure philosophy. But Bhagavatam presents philosophy along with pastimes. Pastimes are very pleasing to the heart. Philosophy is very appealing to the intelligence. So in this way, Bhagavatam caters to the needs of both. Of course, Bhagavad Gita also has certain shlokas, especially 9th chapter shlokas, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. They also touch the heart because they reveal the heart of Krishna. Apichit Suduracharo Bhajati Ma Mananya Bhak, all these shlokas. They're very heart-touching shlokas. But Krishna doesn't speak any stories there. No pastimes. No examples of so many devotees, no stories of so many devotees who have actually practiced Bhakti Yoga. But Bhagavatam is filled with devotees who have surrendered to Krishna and who have actually performed Bhakti Yoga and came closer to Krishna. So Bhagavatam gives a much more elaborate description or depiction of principles that are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Now, there are many other glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will just go to the other things. Now, just one small point I would like to mention here. You see this picture here? This is monsoon. This is clicked in GEV only. Now, if you have to walk in monsoon road, so sometimes you see that muddy pathways in monsoon are covered with so many grasses and bushes, because generally people don't use these muddy pathways during monsoon. The movements are quite restricted because it is raining so heavily, very regularly. So on muddy pathways, because they are not used, they're covered with so many grasses. So similarly, scripture shows the path back to Godhead. If we are not using those paths, means if we are not studying scriptures, the grasses of material conceptions and atheistic worldviews will overwhelm this path of Bhakti Yoga. If we do not study Srimad Bhagavatam and if we do not propagate the message of Srimad Bhagavatam nicely, then atheistic philosophies will become prominent. Then materialistic worldviews will become prominent. So we want them to become prominent. So we need to be very active in studying Bhagavatam ourselves and to speak this Bhagavatam to other people and update everybody about the right way of living life. Update everyone, inform everyone that by practicing Bhakti Yoga, you can be relieved of all material sufferings and you can go back to Godhead. We need to inform everybody. Otherwise, if we keep quiet, if we ourselves don't read, if we ourselves don't share with others, then materialistic philosophies will become more and more prevalent. And because Maya supports that expansion or propagation of material activities, and there are so many materialistic people, materialistic philosophies will be propagated very quickly. So we also need to do something. Of course, Kali Yuga is filled with materialism, and it's very the devotees are very minority, right? They are like minority, means they are not so many in Kali Yuga especially. But still, although Kali Yuga is filled with faults, still we still have an opportunity to come out of those faults if we take shelter of the holy name and Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada gives an example. So, what is the use of your preaching? What is the use of your propagation of Bhagavatam knowledge far and wide? Because Kali Yuga is going to be like this only. It's most degraded age. What will your little preaching or book distribution do? Prabhupada says, in monsoon, it rains heavily, right? Can you stop rain? Definitely cannot stop rain. But you can definitely use an umbrella and protect yourself. You can distribute umbrella so that they can protect themselves. Otherwise, you have to be drenched in rain. So similarly, just like rain comes, we cannot stop rain in monsoon. Similarly, we cannot stop materialism in Kali Yuga. But we can use an umbrella of Krishna consciousness, umbrella of Srimad Bhagavatam to protect us from the rain of materialism in Kali Yuga, and we can also distribute umbrellas to everyone. You are getting drenched in these material conceptions. You are getting drenched by Kali Yuga, Kali Rajas, Kali Purusha's ideas. You are getting too wet in this Maya's allurements. Please take this umbrella. Remain dry. Don't become wet. So we need to give the umbrella of Srimad Bhagavatam, umbrella of Bhagavad Gita to everyone. That's the right understanding of propagating the message of Bhagavatam. Now, when Lord Brahma was speaking the four Vedas, all the Vedic mantras came out of his four mouths, and they were like a colorful pile of stones. Red stones, blue stones, yellow stones, green stones, etc. And Vyasadeva has divided them. It's like one pile. Vyasadeva divided that one Veda into four. He separated all the yellow stones and then green stones and red stones separate. Means he has made one Veda into four, Sama, Yajur Vedas and Rig and Atharva Vedas. Then he wrote 18 Puranas. Bhagavata Purana, Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana, Narada Purana, Garuda Purana, Varaha Purana. Then Vamana, Markandeya, Brahma, Bhavishya, Brahmavivarta. So he wrote all these Puranas, and later although he wrote all these Puranas and Upanishads and even Mahabharata also he wrote, still he was not satisfied at heart. Then Narada Muni came and told Vyasadeva, you have not sufficiently glorified Krishna and his pastimes and his incarnations and his devotees. You have not sufficiently glorified the process of Bhakti Yoga. You must do that. You have overemphasized four Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Mokshas. People perform Dharma, religious activities to get Artha, economic development, money. People use that money in sense gratification, Kama. When they are frustrated with Kama, they think about Moksha. This is the way of four Purusharthas, right? So, Dharma Projita Kaitavo Atra Paramo means in Bhagavatam such a materially motivated religion is kicked out. Vyasadeva was told, instructed by this Narada Muni to just write Srimad Bhagavatam in such a way that Bhakti Yoga is glorified and not unnecessarily overemphasize four Purusharthas. Then Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. So when Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, he was completely satisfied. He was satisfied at heart. So actually, this Bhagavatam is an eternal scripture. Okay, Vyasadeva has put it in writing. He has performed the pastime of writing it. So Veda Shastra Purana Kahiya Veda Vyas Tathapi Chittera Nahi Payana Prakash Yakhane Shri Bhagavata Jihvaya Sphurila Tatakshane Chitta Vritti Prasanna Haila. So after writing so many Vedas and Shastras and Puranas, Vedavyas was not satisfied, but after writing Srimad Bhagavatam, he has become very prasanna, very pleasant. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the crown jewel of all scriptures. Bhagavatam is the essence of all scriptures. It's the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutras. Bhagavata Pustaka Thakaya Raghare Kona Amangala Nahi Yaya Tatha Kare. So this Bhagavata Pustaka means this Bhagavata Grantha, if it is there in someone's house, no inauspiciousness can enter that house. There is only auspiciousness in that house. Sarva Shastrabhipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satphala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadhya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidhvantoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. Sarva Shastrabhi Piyusha means if all the Vedic scriptures are compared to a milk ocean, Srimad Bhagavatam is the nectar that came out of the churning of that milk ocean. Right? Sarva Shastrabhi Piyusha. Sarva Vedaika Satphala means Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic literatures, which are like desired tree. Sarva Vedaika Satphala. Then Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadhya. So Bhagavatam has all the conclusive Siddhantas, philosophical truths, which are like Ratna, which are like ocean of jewels, right? Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. Bhagavatam will give us the right direction towards our real goal. Sarva Bhagavata Prana. Bhagavatam is very dear to all devotees. Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidhvanto Ditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. So the Srimad Bhagavatam can completely vanquish the darkness of Kali Yuga. When sun rises, darkness cannot stay. Similarly, when we open Srimad Bhagavatam and allow the sun of Srimad Bhagavatam to rise in our lives, the materialism or darkness of ignorance in our hearts is completely dispelled. And Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna Parivartita, means Bhagavatam is Lord Sri Krishna who has come back into this world, right? Sri Krishna Parivartita. Now, we have many other shlokas that glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. Tadeva Ramyam Ruchiram Navam Navam Tadeva Shashvan Manaso Mahotsavam Tadeva Shokarnava Soshanam Drinam Yaduttama Shloka Yashonugiyate Tadeva Ramyam Ruchiram Navam Navam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is Ruchiram, very tasty. Navam Navam. The more you hear Bhagavatam, the more you study Bhagavatam, the more you speak Bhagavatam, it appears newer and newer and fresh and fresh. And Tadeva Shashvan Manaso Mahotsavam. So Bhagavatam is Mahotsava, is a great celebration of mind. How long? Shashvan, eternally. Tadeva Shokarnava Soshanam Dranam. So Bhagavatam can completely vanquish the ocean of our lamentation, because Yaduttama Shloka Yashonu Giyate, because Bhagavatam describes the glories of Lord Uttama Shloka. Okay. Prabhupada says it is the need of human society at the present moment to come out of this darkness of oblivion. And actually it is not in darkness of oblivion, because a lot of progress has been made in the material realm. But as far as spiritual perspective is concerned, it is in darkness. So we need to come out of the darkness by opening the book Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also conclusively has given his opinions. We have discussed this shloka several times. So now Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasized 5 things as the topmost, which is Aradhya Bhagavan is Krishna. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधो वर्गेण या कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवतं पुराणममलं प्रेम पुमार्थो महान् श्रीचैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मतमिदं तत्रादरानापरः. Our Aradhya Bhagavan is Krishna, and our supreme abode is Vrindavan Dham, and the topmost worship of Krishna is done by the gopis of Vrindavan, and the spotless authority Pramanam is Srimad Bhagavatam, and the purpose of life is develop love for Krishna. These are the 5 conclusive opinions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and interestingly, a description about all these 5 items is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam describes about Krishna, about Vrindavan, about gopis, about Bhagavatam, and about love of Godhead. Then Sri Chaitanya, our Rupa Goswami has emphasized on 5 kinds of potent forms of bhakti. In that, one is Namakirtana, chanting the holy names; Bhagavata Sravana, hearing Bhagavatam; 3, Mathuravas, means residing in holy dham; 4th is deity worship; 5th is Vaishnava association, and Bhagavatam has descriptions of all these 5 items. So Bhagavatam is one of the most topmost 5 potent forms of bhakti. Right? Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarvashray Prati Shloke Prati Akshare Nana Arthakai. So Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, and in every word and every shloka there are so many meanings. Bhagavatam can cater to the needs of so many people. So Vedaha Puranam Kavyam Cha Prabhur Mitram Priyevacha Bodhayanti Tihi Prahu Trivrid Bhagavatam Punaha. So Vedas instruct us like a master. Puranas instruct us like a friend. Poetic works, Kavyam, they instruct us like a lover. Bhagavatam does all 3. So Bhagavatam is our teacher, our friend, and our lover. That's why Sanatana Goswami says, Madeka bandho mat sangin madguro manmahadhana mannistaraka madbhagya madananda namostute. Madeka bandho mat sangin, Bhagavatam is my relative. Mat sangi, Bhagavatam is my companion. Mad Guru, Bhagavatam is my teacher. Man Mahadhana, Bhagavatam is my greatest treasure. Man Nistaraka, Bhagavatam is my deliverer. Mad Bhagya, Bhagavatam is my greatest fortune. Mad Ananda Namostute, Bhagavatam is the greatest cause of my happiness. Okay, so in this way, our Sanatana Goswami glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam. And the glories of Bhagavatam are also mentioned in Padma Purana. You must have known this verse. I will not elaborate on all this. So various limbs of Lord Sri Krishna's transcendental body are compared to various cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So, and there are 10 topics in Srimad Bhagavatam: Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam. So any Mahapurana has 10 topics. And Bhagavatam is resplendent with all these 10 topics, very beautifully described. Sarga, Visarga. Sarga is primary creation done by the Lord. Visarga is secondary creation done by Brahma. Sthana means is the geographical location of various planetary systems, right? Poshana means protection offered by the Lord. Uti means inclination to perform various activities. Manvantara. Manvantara means the reign of so many Manus, 14 Manus who rule within one day of Brahma. Ishanukatha, pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. Nirodha. Nirodha is destruction of this universe. Mukti, liberation. And Ashraya, supreme shelter Krishna. These are the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam described in 12 cantos of Bhagavatam. All these 10 cantos are described in all these 10 topics are described in 12 cantos, but with various degrees of emphasis. Some cantos emphasize more on one topic. For example, 7th canto discusses more about Uti, 6th canto Poshana, 8th canto Manvantara, 9th canto Ishanukatha, 10th canto Ashraya, 11th canto Mukti, then 12th canto Nirodha. So, but other topics are also there in each of them. So you cannot assign one topic to one canto exclusively. Other topics are also there, but one topic is more prominently discussed. And there are other points. Okay, anarthopashabham sakshat. Okay, I already spoke this shloka. Bhagavatam begins with Satyam Param Dhimahi, meditation on the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. And Bhagavatam establishes that Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Lord Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. And Bhagavatam very conclusively, categorically, authoritatively establishes Krishna as the supreme Lord and the source of all incarnations, and he is the primary source of the entire cosmic manifestation. Bhagavan Swayam. So Krishna already says in Bhagavad Gita, he says that Mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam proktam sutre maniganaiva. So Krishna said that, but in Bhagavatam there are very beautiful pastimes that depict that principle. How Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnations. For example, you see this picture. This is Brahma Vimohana Leela. So Lord Krishna expanded himself into so many gopas and calves. And when Brahma came back to Krishna, all these gopas and calves became Vishnumurti forms. Means Krishna is the source of millions of Vishnus, and all these Vishnus who came from Krishna merged back again into Krishna. So Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam is the source of everyone. And how he creates this material world. Bhagavatam also presents the philosophy and pastimes very systematically. Some people think that Bhagavatam means Rasalila of Krishna. No, Srishti Lila is described before Rasalila. So in the initial cantos very systematically describe the creation of this material world and the positioning of various planets in this material world and various other philosophical concepts, and finally comes to Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan and Rasalila in the 10th canto. So we need to study the first 9 cantos, then you enter the 10th canto. So as we discussed, Krishna Bhagavatam is not different from Lord Krishna. Just as we take darshan of Krishna from lotus feet to lotus face, similarly we have to study Srimad Bhagavatam from the first canto to the last canto. We cannot just directly jump into the esoteric subject matters in Vrindavan and all that. So it's like performing arati to Krishna. Okay. So a systematic study is very much emphasized in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhagavatam also presents the various topics very systematically. Authentic descriptions of Lord's form are there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Some people say that God does not have a form. Who said that? Very beautiful descriptions of Krishna's form are there in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now Brahmaji is offering prayers to Krishna. He says, Naumedyate brahmapushe taditambaraya gunjavatam saparipichhala sanmukhaya vanyasraje kavalavetra vishana vedu lakshmasriye mridupade pushupangajaya. So he says that Naumedyate abrahmapushe taditambaraya. Oh Krishna, we have a very beautiful form. I offer my respects unto that form. Right? Naumedyate abrahmapushe. Your body has complexion of cloud, blue. Tadit ambaraya. Your clothes are of the color of lightning, golden yellow. Right? Gunjavatamsa. You are wearing gunjamala. Paripichala sanmukhaya. Your face is resplendent with a beautiful peacock feather. You can see the darshan of Vrindavan Bihari there. Paripichala sanmukhaya vanyasraje. You are wearing a garland of forest flowers. Kavalavetra vishana venu. You are holding curd rice in your hand. Vetra, you are holding a stick to control cows. Vishana venu, you are playing flute. Right? Kavalavetra vishana venu. Lakshmasriye mridupade pashupangajaya. And this beautiful form as Bal Gopal in Vrindavan is the topmost form, topmost manifestation of the absolute truth, right? So in this way, Brahmaji is describing Krishna's form in Vrindavan. Similarly, there are so many descriptions of Krishna's forms in Vaikuntha and many other forms like Varaha, Vamana, Narasimha, etc. So some people say that there is no form to God. But Bhagavatam describes very authentic forms of the Supreme Lord Krishna and his incarnations. So Bhagavatam also descends in parampara. Kasmayena vibhasito yamatulo gnana pradipah pura tadrupena cha naradaya munaye krishnaya tadrupena yogendraya tadatmanatha bhagavadrataya karunyata तत्शुद्धं विमलं विशोकममृतं सत्यं परं धीमहि कस्मै येन विभासितोऽयमतुलो ज्ञानप्रदीपः पुरा. Means in the beginning of the creation, the Supreme Lord Krishna taught this Bhagavatam to Brahma, right? Tadrupena, in the form of Brahma, Naradaya Muni, he taught Bhagavatam to Narada Muni. Krishnaya Tadrupena, in the form of Narada Muni, he taught Bhagavatam to Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. And in the form of Vyasadev, he spoke Bhagavatam to Yogindra, our Sukadeva Goswami. And in the form of Sukadeva Goswami, he spoke to Parikshit Maharaj, who is Bhagavad Ratha or Vishnu Ratha. So in Bhagavatam, knowledge is descending in parampara. Whether Krishna is speaking, or Brahma is speaking, or Narada Muni is speaking, or Vyasadeva is speaking, or Sukadeva Goswami is speaking, or Suta Goswami is speaking, it is Krishna who is speaking Bhagavatam. This means the transcendental teachings of Krishna are transmitted through the transparent via media of parampara for our transformation. Otherwise, we have to experience so many tribulations in this material world. So when we stick to the teachings of parampara, there is a transparent transmission. When we don't stick to the teachings of parampara, we concoct some things and then present in our own style, then there is deviation. So we need to stick to the teachings of the glorious Guru Parampara. So Bhagavatam is descending through this beautiful line of disciplic succession. Okay, Parampara. So many acharyas are there: Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Kaviraj Goswami, Chakravarti Pad, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, and his sincere followers. So Bhagavatam is spoken by Krishna. Okay, now 11th canto of Bhagavatam is spoken by Krishna to Uddhava. In 3rd canto, Krishna speaks as Kapila to Devahuti. Then Krishna speaks to Brahma, Brahma speaks to Narada, Narada speaks to Vyasa. You saw the whole lineage just now. And also, as Sankarshana, Krishna spoke Bhagavatam to Lord Shiva and also to Sanat Kumara and other sages. Now the Kumar Sampradaya comes like this. And as Rishabhadev, the Supreme Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavatam to Navayogendras and also Bharat and 100 sons. So we are all indebted to the parampara for transmitting the teachings of Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam and in their commentaries. Yairidrishi bhagavato gatiratmavada ekantato nigamabhi pratipaditanaha tushyantvada karunaha swakritena nityam ko nama tat pratikaroti vinoda patram. Means Yairidrishi bhagavato gatiratmavada. Means basically this shloka says that acharyas have given elaborate commentaries and explanations to this beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam. We are indebted to them. We cannot repay their debt. We are eternally indebted to them for giving us this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we can never repay their debt. If we think we can repay, we are just jokers. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes Srimad Bhagavatam commentary called Sarartha Darshini. He says that I have received the mercy of Sridhar Swami. I studied the works of Jiva Goswami. I studied the Vaishnava Toshini commentary of Sanatana Goswami. And I also developed a desire to write a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called Sarartha Darshini. But if my attempt to write this book is arrogant, I think I am rash in this attempt. I may be writing out of my own foolishness, but if I am writing out of my foolishness, it will only produce mockery. But if I am writing out of the causeless mercy of Krishna, it will produce bliss with every word for the devotees. So here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is attributing the credit of his commentary to great devotees, to Krishna, to Krishna's mercy, to other acharyas. And if there is any mistake, he's taking responsibility for it. Prabhupada also said that I have written Srimad Bhagavatam commentary, but all the credit of this writing should go to my spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And the credit should also go to my disciples who have assisted me in this publication. I have no credit. I don't have bhakti, I don't know, I don't have knowledge. He's Bhaktivedanta Swami. He says, I have no devotion, I don't have scholarship. Okay. So that is the humility of the acharyas who have written such beautiful commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we are reading those commentaries, we are it's sure that we are purifying ourselves. And there are so many other points about the glorification of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam glories are never complete. Okay, so I think it's 8:40 now. Uh, Last 5 minutes I will leave for some questions if someone has. I don't know if in this platform can you ask questions? It's I don't know if it's possible. So I'll conclude here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.